En el centro de la pampa vive un pimiento. Sol y viento pa' su vida, sol y viento. Sol y viento pa' su vida, sol y viento.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Patrick Barnard. Bienvenue à la 147e édition de Pimento. Hello, I am Patrick Barnard. Welcome to the 147th edition of the Pimento Report. Usually I do videos in French and English. Today's video is in English only for the most part, and that's because I want to send it to parts of English Canada, the United States, and overseas. Pimento Report number 147 is about a set of urban wetlands in a borough of Montreal called Ville Saint-Laurent. Those wetlands and marshes are up there to the north of me next to our airport here in Montreal. And we are going to be looking at 5 of them, the ones you see on this map. 2 of those marshes have been drained, so that's a loss of 40% of that area of urban wetland. And Canada in the last generation has lost 90% of its urban wetlands. All of us, citizens, officials, private interests have been involved in that degradation and destruction. The first part of this report will be a visit to these marshes and a talk about the birds, and the second part will show you the way a marsh becomes destroyed. Now, these marshes would not be known to Montrealers were it not for a group called technoparkoiseau.org and some extraordinary birders led by a man called Joël Coutu. He made people here realize what a treasure these marshes were. There's a case before the courts right now. It's got the title of Green Coalition against the City of Montreal, and of course that includes the borough of Saint-Laurent. The judge has yet to make his decision. And in the court case, officials from the City of Montreal indicated that they had thought these marshes were kind of second-rate. Well, when a country has lost 90% of its urban wetlands, every single wetland is important. And these marshes in Ville Saint-Laurent are in fact rich, rich birding sites. There's nothing second-rate about them at all. I went there on October 3rd. It was a Saturday. I got there very early in the morning, 6:30 in the morning, and I was led on a tour by Mr. Jim Harris of technoparkoiseau.org.
Good morning, my name is Jim Harris. I'm a member of Technopark Oiseau. We are in the Technopark, and we're just outside Ethanol Zero, which is the surface area largest of the 3 ponds in the area, and it's the one that's the most under threat. So just to my left here is Ethanol Zero, and it is the largest surface area of the last 3 remaining ponds in the area. They have actually drained 2 ponds, one extremely important and one quite important. So we're going to go in here, and at this time of the year, the beginning of October, a lot of the birds have left, but there's still a number of species, and we're likely going to see great egrets, 3 species of ducks, probably there's usually geese in here, and quite a few other different species. It's we're still in the migration period, although it's starting to tail off. So it's you never know what's going to come through.
And in the whole area, there's even more birds, right? You mentioned to me the total number, not just in these marshes, but yes. It's impressive.
Yes, it's right around 190 different species historically. This area probably closer to 120, but if you look at the larger Technopark area and include Golfe d'Orval and measure that green space, it's about the size of Mount Royal. And that's what attracts so many birds here. It's just these vast, contiguous green spaces.
You said they have drained 2 of these marshes and 1 more is under threat. Who are they? The REM, Ville Saint-Laurent? Who's draining the marshes?
Well, it's right now primarily This infrastructure work that caused the drainage was done by Ville Saint-Laurent.
So there are two great egrets in here. They're difficult to see in this pan, but they're there. I can see one looking very happy this morning. The marsh is dark. It'll get much lighter later on. And Jim is here just at my right. Birds love this place.
Oh yeah. This type of pond with all these snags, it's mecca for birds, especially if you're a water bird. There are still fish in here, even though the numbers that used to be like astounding, that we judged how many fish there were by how many water birds, herons were fishing. Used to be way more than there is now. They killed a lot when they did the work. They're making a comeback slowly. This is the trail leading to the Ipex Pond, which is a very, very interesting pond. It's fairly large. Initially had, probably still does, but had a very large population of nesting green-winged teals, but it's also the place from year to year we've seen the most shorebirds. This year the water happily is a little bit high, so we're not seeing quite so many, but very interesting area. We've also seen the American bittern in here, Virginia rails, all sorts of birds in here. Okay, so we're learning about making paths. These things tend to come over.
This is pretty in here.
Yeah, it's gorgeous in here. And what we're looking at right here is still trying to work out whether or not this is a true vernal pond. It certainly starts out with a lot of water. There's about, at the deepest points, probably about 18 inches to 2 feet of water in here in early spring after all the snow melt and the rain. As you can see now, it's dried out. That's a very typical cycle for a vernal pond. We have to do some more experimentation to see what kind of protozoa and other little tiny wiggly things are in there. Much of the woods associated with the Ipex Pond is of a kind that's typically attractive to saw-whet owls. They're in the middle of their migration right now, so we're checking here now to see if we can find a few.
I don't think we'll see one today, but it's nice knowing they might be here.
Yeah. Well, it's we probably won't see them. They are hard to find. You never know, though. So initial observation, a little bit quiet today. I do see a green-winged teal. I'm sure when we get to the other vantage point, we'll see more. I think it's either a lesser yellowlegs or a greater yellowlegs out there. Because as the sun hits the trees, it activates the insects. Once the insects are activated, the birds are activated.
Are those poplars shining over there, or are they willows? What are those trees?
I think they are, I'm not sure whether they're poplars or trembling aspen.
You're looking at this pond, and with this camera and with my skills, I have a very hard time capturing birds. So what are you seeing here in this pond right now?
Well, just a second ago, I saw one of the migrating warblers, northern water thrush. They're fun. They're hard to see. You don't usually see them. You usually hear them more than see them. But there he was, right out in the open, giving me a good look. In addition to that, there's the usual suspects, green-winged teals, because they nest here. Just over there, there's a number of lots owned by Morgard, who are a holding company. We discovered about 2-3 weeks ago that they had put in a new road, a new access road. And in theory, they're not supposed to be able to do that. We haven't been able to find any certificates of authorization, anything like that. And when we examined what the work they had done, it looked like it was preparatory for more dumping, and dumping actually right into a creek bed.
So here you are standing on this new road. It seems quite substantial, and it seems also to have been put here for a purpose.
Yes, I agree. My first thought when I saw this road was that it was the first inroad, no pun intended, to another development project. As we look closer at it, we're not so sure, but pretty sure it's either a development project or it could be a place, the road could be constructed in order to dump landfill into a depression behind me here in order to cover up water.
In other words, to fill in a wetland.
Exactly. And this is an area that I'm beginning to believe has significant underground water coming into it. In looking at this sand, it seems to me that it's super dense sand. Maybe all sand is super dense, but I hammered a pole in here just to get a sense of how deep it was. And I got down about 18 inches in this section, deeper over there. But I had trouble getting the pole back out by hand. So very dense sand here, could easily hold dump trucks. Right now we're on the other side of the sand ramp that we think is being built for dumping landfill into this side, where there is a creek. And this is a creek that sees a lot of water in the early part of the season and then tails back through heat waves in other drier parts of the season. We have seen fish in here.
So your feeling is that they may in fact be planning to fill this in?
I think, yes, we're worried that their plan is to cover up all indicators of water in this area to reverse the standing, its present standing as wetland, to remove that designation so they can build on it. One of the things I'd like to do for this area is to put together a children's book. Now, I don't have the expertise to do that, but I'm always looking for somebody who maybe is a writer and especially specializes in children's literature. But it would be nice to have a children's story based on the wildlife in this area, maybe starring one or two key species that can be used to help explain to children why it is any animal needs a specific habitat to survive, what they do in this kind of place, what development means to their lives in terms of displacing them, and what that means for the future of that species.
I can hear the geese in the distance.
En el centro de la pampa vive un pimiento. En el centro de la pampa vive un pimiento.